Welcome to HaddonCast, whatever you want to call it.
Today we're talking about Corey, a Halloween story. Another episode of the Haddonfield Files with guest star Michael Myers.
Oh, man. Michael Myers is kind of there sometimes.
So, Cherry Blossoms, I want to dedicate the rest of my life to just what you said.
The rest of my life? There are a lot of questionable things to talk about. About Halloween Ends. That's the topic of discussion today. I guess before that, so Rick and Morty, right? Did we talk about the most recent episode, Jurassic Mort?
I actually have not watched it yet. I was going to watch it, and then I saw the news that they're not releasing the next 4 episodes for another few months or something, and I got upset and I just forgot to watch it.
Yeah. So the newest episode is actually pretty good, and I actually really like the concept. But yeah, so we're not getting more Rick and Morty until November 20th. I think is what they said.
Which means the season will complete when I'm actually in town. So there's that.
That's true. Yeah.
So we can think about that. Touch ourselves a little bit. Are you doing it?
What did you say?
Said we can touch ourselves a little bit for that. Just a little.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. But yeah, I got that. I like that news. I was like, wait, what do you mean? No more Rick and Morty till late November? They're doing another random break. But I think pretty much everybody's assuming that means that these last 4 episodes are going to be heavy canonical episodes. So I guess we'll wait and see with that.
That'd be good.
Yeah, the new episode was good. I actually really enjoyed it. So you should check it out when you can.
Is it a one-off, or is it actually a sequel to that one Jurassic Park episode from 8 years ago?
So it doesn't have to do with that episode, and it is a one-off. But there's heavy canonical implications in the episode that are treated in a meta casual way, which you don't really know if it actually ties into the overall canon, or if it's just stuff that they're using to distract you. So we'll see. You'll understand when you watch the episode. But
yeah, for sure. I'll probably watch that soon. I don't know. I kind of lost interest because I was wanting to engage with it every week and talk about it, and now it's just kind of they tell you a day before we're not coming back for a month.
Yeah.
It's what are you, my father?
By the way.
What?
By the way, the show will be back in months. So talk about something else.
I can't just go to work and just be by the way, I'll be back for a month and a half. And I'll just be oh, okay, we'll see you then. No, I need to come every week. I just need a quick break to finish my effects, my post-production process in my life. I'm killing myself. So, was your theater packed? Mine was about 3/4 full.
Ours was probably a little bit more than that. It was pretty full. There were a decent number of people in there.
There was a lot of weird, awkward laughs and some questionable noises coming from the theater, for sure. And a lot of Halloween shirts and backpacks and hats, and all of them said John Carpenter on it, and it made me happy.
Yeah, saw a lot of that. That was good.
Yeah, nobody saw mine and said anything, which was disappointing, but whatevs.
Yeah, I wore my hoodie, my hat, my Michael Myers ring. I went all out, and nobody complimented me. And I was okay, cool.
Last time you're going to see a Halloween film for years.
We were in the mall before the movie, and I guess we went into Lids, and I was wearing my Michael Myers hat, and they were asking me where I got it. They're did you get it from Lids? I was no, it's not a Lids. They're oh, dang.
Just immediately didn't care.
Well, no, I think I kept talking about this Michael Myers flannel that he got, and I was oh, it sounds really cool. He was yeah, you should check it out.
Michael Myers what?
A flannel. It's Michael Myers Halloween thing.
Oh. There was an annoying group of people in the corner, which always happens with horror movies for some reason. This movie was very not scary at all.
Yeah,
Barely a horror
really
film.
nothing.
There was the opening scene. I mean, like it was a terrifying concept and like terrifying. Well, full spoilers, but it was terrifying to just see like a fucking like dead child's corpse, just like so clearly displayed. But it was just kind of shock value, and like the awkward cut to the credits was just a little weird. And then like the Halloween 3 text, I didn't notice at first, but then like I eventually noticed, and like it was cool, but it just felt very like out of place. But
Yeah, it was just it was very, very out of place. It was just kind of weirdly thrown in.
and I didn't even
It was a
I didn't even
cool
notice, but somebody compared like the logos, and I guess the Halloween Kills' logo looks similar to Halloween 2's logo, and then like Halloween 2018 looks similar to the original. So it's like in each of like when 2018 came out, it was like 40 years since the first one, and then like Kills was 40 years after the second one, and this one's 40 years after the third one. So it's like a linear thing, which is cool, but it seems kind of random. So.
I guess that does make it a little bit cooler, but it's also like.
And like I guess it kind of makes sense because Halloween Ends is like the fucking weirdest one in this like set of 3 movies. So I don't know, but
Yeah, it was so clunky. I just didn't feel like half the running time, probably even more than that, doesn't even feel like it's a Halloween story, which is why it's so.
and it's weird because like I had very low expectations because while like I've enjoyed Kills more as like just watching it over this last year, like I'm more like forgiving of some of its flaws. I still don't like it as like a movie, but like I'm entertained by it. So I didn't really expect much in this, and like the trailers didn't give me much, and the leaks were a little concerning. So I think I liked it more than what I was hearing because I was hearing like a lot of hate about this movie. People were saying it was like the worst one, and it's not nearly that, but it was so weird, and I didn't mind the things they did when I watched it, but just like it's like the last thing I would have done with this movie. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, it was very. I don't know. It just all felt so disjointed, and it's just like so forced too, and like it just really seemed like it was something that should have been a lot more of, like an extremely climactic, like important event for all of the established characters involved. But instead, we spent so much of the time with a new character that wasn't established at all before this. There was a lot
And not to
more
say like he
focus on.
wasn't like I liked Corey. I guess he was like a interesting character, but he just was like developed so fast and like so much was going on, and it just seemed a little ridiculous how much bad things were going on in his life. It made me think of Allie for a second, but besides that,
I know it was absurd.
it's just like he goes to a bar like once after like a year, like 3 years actually, because it's like 2019, and
Yeah,
it's just like people are still like berating him at a bar, and it's like what the fuck is going on,
it's like, bro, why?
bro? It's like COVID happened. What are you talking about? Which also they made such a heavy quote about like COVID like implications in this movie, and there was like not a single one.
Literally nothing. That had nothing to do with the plot at all. There was nothing
And
about
if
it.
there was something, and if it comes like in a fucking Dead Meat interview in like 3 months from now, I'm gonna be pissed. I'm just saying that.
It's probably, yeah.
You're like, actually, you're gay. He's like, welcome to Dead Meat. We had to take another kill off Halloween Kills because actually another person from that movie somehow survived. It had no
I know
relevance at all.
everyone in this trilogy just doesn't die. It's ridiculous.
And what was the weird
something
thing at the end?
laid
Because like I
there,
get how they pinned Michael
sleepless, and
down.
bled out like 10 minutes, and Michael came in and snapped his neck. He was dead.
Yeah, it made no sense for like her name is Sandra, the girl that got stabbed with the fucking like glass pipe. For her to be alive, it makes no sense. We saw her die, and we saw her like rotting on the floor for like 5 minutes, as Michael Myers used her husband as like a fucking toy. And like
Yeah.
nobody knew about that house. They would have like found her like hours later at the least. What? She would have died. She was literally choking on her blood
Sister
the last
or
time we
something?
saw
Be
her.
like mad at Lori again. Why was everybody blaming Lori for what Michael did? It makes no sense.
Did nobody like explain that his doctor let him out? And like even if so, it's not like Lori like fucking led a little breadcrumb trail to her house. But I feel like that's like a fucking because in the original plot of like 2018, which I don't know if you heard about this, but like they changed like a large part of the scripts where like the doctor wasn't actually the one that let him out. It was like Lori, because like she was like I guess drunk driving and hit the bus off the road, which would have made sense why people were blaming her in this one. But again, that's not what happened in the movie from 4 years ago, so why would you write that? So, I don't know. And then Allison had some very harsh words for her grandmother in, like, her healing process, and, like, blaming her for a lot of stuff that, like, I guess made sense, but also did not make any sense, because it was like, you met this boy, like, 3 days ago. Why are you devoting, like, your entire life to this man?
Allison was such a weird character in this movie. She felt so out of place. Like, it just did not work at all.
And I really like Allison in 2018 in Kills. Like, I like the actress, and I like how she... I think her character's interesting. And this one, she just was, like, barely in it. When she was just, like, super thirsting over this man. And then she just, like, came in at the end to, like, save Lori very last second. And it felt like such a, like, a worthless, like, they just put that moment in. So it would have felt like she did something when she didn't. Not to mention, they brought back the cop from 2018 and completely retconned his death just for him to be in the hospital all movie. And then in this one, he's in it for like 4 scenes, and all of them have nothing to do with the plot at all.
So there's literally no point.
Why'd you bring him back? Just to give Lori a happy ending, but like it just why wouldn't he be involved with the plot? That doesn't make any sense. There's like this obsession with the radio tower. And it has, like, no significance on the plot except to kill. For some reason, they just didn't, like, have, like, a national manhunt for Michael Myers, like, in the town. Because I feel like the sewers would be one of my first go-tos to check. At least, like, once. And I feel like they would have found it probably. Also, he was in the top of the house at the beginning, at the end of Kills. Did nobody see him go out? Like, what? Everybody could have saw him in that window. Like, everybody was down there. What? And then Michael Myers gets beat up in, like, 40 seconds by, like, a 20-year-old. And his mask just gets taken. And... okay. I guess similar to what Ali said, what were you going to say?
Well, yeah, no, I mean, a lot of that stuff was just so ridiculous. And it just kind of seemed like what is going on. It was so, like, clunky, the entire thing.
Yeah, like I appreciate that, like, they really swung with the fences. This was, like, the last type of, like, conclusion I thought they would have done. And that's not a good thing, because this isn't... I just don't get how you would have wrote this and been, like, fine with it. I have a hard time believing, like, Carpenter actually got this entire script and was fine with it. Like, I can't believe that. And if he did, that just sucks. Because the way they kill Michael in this movie, like, it's definitely, like, it's for sure he's dead. There's no backing out from that one. It just felt so unearned and just random and weird that, like, the whole town just collectively in, like, 10 minutes just, like, gathered to this little junkyard and just, like, carried Michael Myers like he was fucking Jesus, and then just watched this old woman fucking throw this human body into like a fucking meat grinder, and that's just the ending. Everybody healed after that.
Yeah, it's a very polarizing ending, because you do see that closure, and the way they presented it, it's really fan servicey, you know, like, because they can finally get rid of Michael for good, and actually, like, leave that as an ending to that whole saga. But it's also, like, a lot of it just doesn't really make that sense, so it's just so weird.
Yeah, and I do have to admit, I did like Corey's little outfit before he took Myers' mask. It was a little creepy. I don't know if that's just me. Like, the Scarecrow mask was kind of like... it didn't look as goofy as I thought it would. It was very convenient. He worked as a mechanic, so he had the mechanic suit already. That was very convenient. A lot of conveniences here. The Corey's mother was, like, terrible in, like, every conceivable way. It's like one of the most, like, out of pocket, most ridiculous characters, like, ever. Um, like each one of these movies has that, just like a
Oh yeah,
fucking,
it was awful.
just has a wacky off the wall character that just doesn't make any sense as like a human being, like at all. She's like, oh, you just want to focus all your time on this girl, like, gosh, she's growing up so fast. He's like 25. What are you talking about? Um,
Yeah. Like he said he was 20, so he would have been like, he would have been in his mid-20s by the like events of this movie. He's like, what the fuck?
and like,
Why would you act like he's
why did they move out of Haddonfield if it was this terrible? Um, um, I have a lot of thoughts. I need to figure out what I want to say here. This was very similar to Kills. At least I know you felt the same about Kills, where like I just kind of like I had to sit with the movie for like at least like a night because I didn't really know what to say. It's a little similar here. I just have much more clear opinions because it's just like Kills. I couldn't really form an opinion on because I kind of needed like this movie to like even know if I really liked that movie, which was a bad sign. And this movie wasn't very good when it came to like continuing that story because there's literally like there's so much setup in Kills about how he's like the more he kills the more unstoppable he is, like we can't kill him, like you see all these people constantly trying to stop him, and in this one he's just the first scene you see him as he can't even choke a person, and like he needs help. That like scene where like he like slowly coaxes this cop to get just stabbed by Michael was just kind of like it's just so anticlimactic and weird. And they establish like that fucking weird homeless guy that like has no bearing on the plot and makes literally zero sense. He just like tells him that he's been like killing people like off and on throughout the last like 3 years. So what do you mean he's weak? If he's like eating people, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it's just like I don't. So much of that's so weird because they just it makes all three of these movies feel completely different, which like is not really what I wanted to see.
I still like 2018, like through and through. I think that's a good movie, honestly.
Yeah, 2018 definitely enjoyed it.
And Kills is like it's a fun little like slasher like gore fest. It's fine as like that. As a movie, it's not good at all. This one, like, I like the script more, I guess. It feels more like an actual storyline here. It doesn't feel like an extended middle act. And I think, like, while, like, for the good, like, first, like, hour and, like, 20 minutes of this movie, it's a lot of just, like, character stuff and, like, setup. And, like, while it's not what I wanted, like, I didn't, like, I guess I wasn't bored. I was, like, entertained by it. And, like, I enjoyed seeing, like a Laurie that wasn't, like, just this fucking, like, obscene, like, obsessed, crazy maniac. And, like, there's stuff I liked, and I liked a lot of the characters that were brought from the first two. And, like, a lot of the new characters just feel like cliche bullies or, like, weird parents. And, like, this, like, Corey character who's very clearly modeled after, I think his name's Corey from Christine. And now it makes more sense to me now why David Gordon Green said that when he brought the script to Carpenter, he wanted him to let him know if it felt too Christine-like. Which I feel like is the last concern I should have for the script. And then...
Yeah, there's like a lot of other things I'd probably be worried about.
Yeah. It is just... It's a unique-ish story. I mean, I think like a copycat Michael Myers or somehow like the evil passing on can be executed well. And I think that can be cool. I just think you need like a lot more care and like writing for that to really work. And if you're going to make this a final Michael Myers movie about Laurie and Michael Myers, it doesn't really make sense to do that at that point when you have all these characters and storyline already set up, like in place. And I feel like they kept mentioning like Karen's death, but there was no like through line with that. There was no closure to that. There was no real like finality to that. It just kind of like they kept mentioning that like her death really didn't matter all that much. There's like one scene of Allison crying and that's it. And it just felt so weird because like Laurie like spent 40 years obsessing over this one thing that happened to her, and then like literally she loses like her daughter, but then like she somehow copes better after that with a much shorter time span.
Yeah, like 90% of the characters introduced were killed, and like throughout the three movies, they basically all got like obliterated. And like it's just kind of like they all just kind of die, and that's that. And like you can see how there's some effects on the characters that are alive, but it's not. It's just not as much as
I just
like it
thought
just doesn't.
I thought we might have
Impactful.
got
Like
like
it's
a,
just
like a
weird.
funeral scene with Karen, or like a flashback scene, or just like something that would have like hit home harder, but like there wasn't.
Yeah.
And then we're supposed to feel bad for like I can't tell we're supposed to feel bad for the boy's parents that died at the beginning, but they're complete assholes to Corey after the fact, when it was clearly an accident. And then like they also make the kid extremely unlikable. That like I almost just didn't really care when he died because I first off didn't know him at all, and second off I didn't like. He just seemed like an asshole, which would have made more sense if you had some setup with these three movies where like you show Corey as a character and like this like relationship of him babysitting this child, and then like one day something goes wrong. And, like it just would have fit so much better if it was like set up like little by little and then paid off, which is what a trilogy
Yeah, that's
is.
fine. And it feels so disjointed when it's all just brought together because it makes this like the whole Corey plotline would have been probably decent if it was like its own movie. But like this is the Halloween movie, and it's not just a Halloween movie. This is the Halloween finale to this like massive saga that's over 40 years old. And like, if you're gonna make this franchise and you're gonna make this series arc, you have to actually conclude it in a much more like vital way to the Michael and Laurie characters. Like, it's just so weird. I don't know.
Yeah, and it just most of the kills are also Corey. There's like maybe 2 Michael kills, which is like, I don't need Michael killing like 20 people each movie or anything. But it just feels like Michael's like a side character in his own movie. And he's only important in the last like 20-25 minutes. And the fight scene with Laurie, like I enjoyed. It was about as good as the fight they had in 2018, I guess. But honestly, I prefer their final fight in H2O over this entire trilogy. It doesn't feel as earned, and it's just kind of like an awkward ending. And I don't like seeing Michael Myers in such a weak position where he's like knifed up to this table and like a fridge has been thrown on his like legs and you just see like his leg kicking. Like I don't want to see Michael Myers like that. Like they try to make you feel sad for him, and it's just like he's supposed to be like, that's the entire opposite of what his character is. And I don't think John Carpenter would have seen that and been okay with it. It's just, I just don't see that. It confuses me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. It also felt very rushed toward the end when they finally got to that point where it was Michael versus Laurie, and then it was like 5 minutes later she was killing her, and then Allison all of a sudden believed everything was different with the Corey situation. For some reason, Allison as a character was like completely like just not used well in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. Just the way she bounces back and forth, just like as the plot needs it to. None of it feels natural. And it had a lot of issues with that. And then with the ending, because he was dead but not dead enough, so they have this ritualistic killing of Michael, and it's just all like okay, well, already at this point, I guess the whole movie was kind of rushed, so like it didn't drag. It felt shorter than Halloween Kills by like a significant margin, but it's actually longer, which is weird to me. Probably because there's so much going on, so it's all cluttered, so it just goes by. But then it also feels like way less satisfying in the end as well, because I was hoping for like a slow burn, like methodical, dramatic horror between like the history of Michael and Laurie. It's just the way like the most important characters are used is so dissatisfying, and I hate that.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing, a lot of people were talking about how much it upset them and, like, how, like upset they were about it. And it's not that I'm upset. I'm confused and disappointed. I think a lot of the ideas they have there were interesting and could have been, like, if they were set up better or, like, their own movie, it would have been much more interesting. And it would have felt more like satisfied. But this was like marketed, and this is like the final one of this storyline, and this is probably the last time we'd ever see Laurie Strode as a character. So this is like your last chance, and this is like your last chance of like all these original people involved with like Carpenter around, and like Jamie Lee Curtis actively wanting to be involved. and you already had a set crew with 2 movies of background, a fan base of those 2 movies, and like even though Kills was like pretty divisive, like people were still like interested in like where it was going to go from there, and they just like completely dropped the ball. And I don't get how the same people from 2018 that put so much care into like getting like as close as they could to like a solid Halloween sequel, like they just like divulged to this level that, like, honestly, I'm not super sure on where it's in my ranking right now. I think I gave it the same rating as Kills just right out of the theater, but this is just really middle of the road, or honestly lower tier of my list. And the fact that I would maybe even consider like maybe part 4 better than this is it's just hard to believe the filmmakers of like the second best Halloween film like kept divulged to this in less than 5 years.
I know, like, actually kind of ridiculous.
We were so excited for Kills, and like,
I know. I remember how hyped we were hyped together. It was great, and then we got to Kills, and we're like, well, I guess now we're waiting for Ends, because Kills was kind of disappointing, and then Ends ended up being. It wasn't as disappointing because I was expecting it, but it's just still like.
It's just such a left turn, and like I don't. It's like I don't hate the fact that we took a left turn. It was cool to see a different concept for a Halloween movie. It's just not what I wanted at all, and it's not what was set up.
Yeah.
And I don't get why they went with this like weird Christine angle with Corey feeling like possessed by Michael Myers. The weird, like, when he's like choking him and like you see these weird flashbacks, it's just like it didn't really make sense. Even Michael Myers, like, I get that he's essentially using Corey as a pawn to like regain more strength, but it didn't make sense to me. Like, what possessed Michael to stay in the sewer for so long? Why didn't he go out and kill people? It showed after a kill or two he was like pretty much back at normal. Why wouldn't he go out? I thought it was going to be set up where basically Michael Myers was just kind of like this force they see every Halloween that was just like was unstoppable. But he just kind of disappeared, and honestly the town was just fine. He probably would have just died there if Corey didn't stumble in there, and it just feels like really sad like to see like the embodiment of evil like that. Michael Myers is in a way one of the like most ultimate horror villains, and to just see him like this is just so weird. It's almost akin to Halloween Resurrection for me, where like it shows like Michael Myers after he killed his entire bloodline, and he's just kind of like this sad sack in his house that just kills kids when they come over his property. It's just like I don't really want to see that. I want Michael Myers to be motivated and unstoppable, and I didn't feel like that at all in this movie. And Corey sure didn't feel that either. So
that was I really was wondering how they were gonna do that, how they were gonna explain like do this time jump from where Michael was gonna be, and then him just being in the sewers. Like what was like that? It just seems so stupid.
What possessed him to go there? I don't get why he would go to the sewers.
No, makes sense. No.
The woods made more sense.
That like homeless guy that you brought, like that was like, and that became established just to become Corey's like first victim after he started to like turn evil or whatever. Like it's just, and it's just so weird. Why would Corey discover Michael when Michael chooses not to kill him? Because he's also supposed to be evil, but like he turned evil because he was turned evil because of society. Like what? None of it like really gets through to make any sort of point. It just seems all over the place. And then he kills that homeless person, and then he just starts killing more people, like just out of nowhere. And then he's like, and then there were those two moments. The first one is when he goes down there with that like pop guy that was hitting on Allison, and he's like giving Michael to show him kill him or something, which was so stupid. Like, is Michael your mentor? That doesn't make any sense. And then the next scene that really bugged me was when he went down there and like fought him and like a fist fight. And, like, he took his mask from him. I was like, what the heck is going on? This is Michael. This is not what you're supposed to do.
And I mean, I've watched...
I don't care if he's, like, 75. I don't care. It's Michael Myers. This is ridiculous. Like, what's the point of this? And he took his mask. He killed a bunch of people as Corey. Like, this is not what you're supposed to do with the... This doesn't make any sense. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it's the fact that they had more writers on this one for this finale. And... part of this movie feels rushed, but it also just feels like they just didn't have a good idea from the start. Um, Honestly, it feels like such a left turn. Like it's akin to like what happened with Halloween 4 when you transitioned to Halloween 5, or when you transitioned from H2O to like Resurrection, where it's just such a massive left turn, and in a lot of ways a massive downhill in quality. And it's just like I don't get it. There was such a clear path for a storyline after Kills that I just feel like if you just stuck to developing these characters and have this like good setup to this final confrontation that like really explored like the overarching like trauma and like the longevity of evil in a community, it just if and just like a wrap of character arcs in general with like some good nostalgia thrown in there and a Carpenter score, you have a good finale, and it would have been near the top of my list. And it just they took such a left turn. I think just because the fact that they knew that they could have took a left turn, it just feels like it wasn't set up well. And like there's such weird little this whole trilogy has had weird little comedic bits, but then there's like that weird scene where like it awkwardly like like has Jamie Lee Curtis like almost looking at the camera just to make a joke about like showing off her tits, and I was just like, what is this? Why is this? Why is Lindsay Wallace in this movie for 3 scenes?
The first act had so much cringe. It was unbelievable. I was like, okay, a little bit of this would be fine for some comic relief, but it felt like consistent. Like it was ridiculous.
And there's like a weird joke with like Corey like drinking chocolate milk for a second, and it's like there's people making fun of him for drinking chocolate milk, and it's like, who the fuck makes fun of somebody for drinking chocolate milk? It's goated. Who cares?
It also makes no sense. Like why?
First off, who goes to a gas station with this like a mass amounts of choices and gets like a glass bottle of chocolate milk? Who does that? Also, if he doesn't want to show his face, why is he going to like a random fucking like East Side gas station? What are you doing? You're gonna get like shot.
Also, those like kids that he was feuding with that eventually killed, that felt pointless.
I mean, I like the whole kill sequence. I like the kill sequence in the junkyard, like that. When he takes like the fire torch to the guy's mouth, that's cool, but they don't show it.
Yeah.
The tongue kill was cool, but it was really short, and like they barely showed it. It felt like such a massive right turn from Kills, where like the gore was so shown, and it's weird. Even Michael's killed, the way Michael was killed. I thought at this point, if you're gonna show him like fucking voodoo doll to a table, you took away all the mystique and all the scariness of Michael Myers. So why are you at this point not going to show his face? Just show it at this point. I don't care.
Yeah, there's really no point. Yeah, you've taken away the mystery and like the power. So like,
it's just so funny. It's just so funny. They took away the whole sister angle, the whole family angle, because they wanted to make him like this mysterious boogeyman again that was unstoppable, that had no motivation. Okay. In this movie, they give him motivation. He's trying to stop Corey. In this movie, they kill him. You watch a regular 20-year-old just beat him. When at the end of the last movie, you saw an entire mob take him on, and he took him down in like 2 minutes flat. And there's just like, he took down an entire firefighting unit that had weapons and like what? How? In any way does this make sense? He got shot and stabbed multiple times, but because he like didn't kill for a few years, he's just like dying. He was locked up in a sanitarium for 40 years and he was fine. That's like the biggest plot hole here. What are you talking about? He was in a house fire. He probably has lung cancer. He's fine. What are you talking about?
It just doesn't make sense.
He has so much metal in him. He has to be just. He shouldn't be. If he's human still, if you're still going with the human plot line, you can't just show him weak. He should be dead.
Yes, completely.
And the biggest thing, I think the biggest thing above all this is how is that mask even in One Piece still? After all the abuse it has gone through for these 3 movies, it is ridiculous.
Yeah, the mask. Yeah, no.
Also,
mask.
It probably smells terrible. Why would Corey put that on? And why would Lori have it as a little fucking decoration on her table? What the fuck? That's like police evidence.
I mean, thinking back to it though, those teenage kids, those were like teenagers who were old enough to buy alcohol, and Corey's like a 25-year-old. So why are these random high school kids just picking on this guy that, according to them, they believe killed somebody and is psychotic? So why are they picking on him? That doesn't make any sense.
Also, there's
If
that one
I
girl that's nice to him and like constantly tries to defend him, and then like he like fucking he almost has the most brutal death on her for some reason.
Yeah, she gets flat out murdered. Like it's unreal.
Also, how do you stomp in a human's head? He's not that strong. Because they almost imply that like because he's acting like Michael, he's like getting like he's like becoming stronger because like he falls off like a roof and he's like fine-ish and he's just like laughing about it, and like he does like a Michael like there's a lot of like little things they show that make him like do these like Michael mannerisms, which was, I mean, it's good on the actor that he like was able to like pull it off, but like it's just like so weird. Like he just like he's in a parking lot, and all of a sudden he just sits up like Michael, and it's like it's supposed to be like this big thing, like oh my god, and it's like he's just fucking sitting up. Michael's the antithesis of a character, so when you're showing a like a character devolve into lack of character, it's not satisfying or cool. It's just weird. You're just like seeing an actor slowly devolve in acting. So it's just kind of like, and when he kills people, he just like all of a sudden you can tell it's like a different actor. Like he's just moving way too fast, and he's acting like Michael. But then like he takes it off, and he has like these baggy fucking shit on. The mask barely fits him. It looks weird. And then when he finally fights Lori, he gets shot, and he immediately falls, and that's it. And
Yeah,
I'm assuming that's supposed to be like a shot akin to like how the kid died under his care, where like the door just kind of like opened and he fell. But why would you set up this whole Corey plotline just to end it with Laurie shooting him and then him stabbing himself in the neck, which he should have died immediately when Laurie took out that knife. But he was like alive for like 3 more minutes for Michael to come back and kill him, just so it felt a little more satisfying. But I was hoping to get the most fucking brutal kill Michael Myers has ever done on this kid. But he just snapped his head. What he did to Allison's boyfriend in the last movie would have fit better. Like what? And
Yeah.
why would you have the Myers house be the finale of kills if you're gonna have this third movie? Why not have that be the finale, be set in the Myers house, where it's thematically relevant? And why not have the Corey? And I just had a better idea. Have the Corey kid, have the Corey family, the ones that live in the Myers house. So it makes just more sense in the first place. It's just, instead of this random gay couple that is just called Big John and Little John, but it's like the reverse because it's funny for some reason. Like, I know Dead Meat likes it, but I don't. It's stupid.
It's ridiculous. Like, I don't...
This doesn't make sense. This is not a John Carpenter style horror movie. John Carpenter would not have done that. If you're trying to aim for the greatness that was that first movie, why are you doing this? At least Rob Zombie had the balls to be like, you know what, I don't care about John Carpenter. I'm just going to make my own thing. I don't like that either, but, like, at least, like, just have the balls.
At least he did it. Yeah, and he admitted it. And it's just him doing that. It's his own thing. It sucks. But at least it's Rob Zombie. It feels like Rob Zombie.
And at least it's disconnected from that first movie. It's not like a direct sequel. It's just like...
Yeah. This is in the same continuity as that original masterpiece that has been one of the most impactful horror movies ever. And it just feels so disjointed, so out of place, so clunky, and so just... It's just all... None of it flows at all.
And also, what was the meaning of the pumpkin intro? I mean, like, in 2018, I loved that one because it was so nostalgic when I first saw it. And, like, the idea of the pumpkin, like, rising up to its former glory made sense for what that film represented and what Michael Myers was doing in that movie. And then, like, Kills, it made sense because it was kind of like, you know, everything was on fire, like, from the last movie. And then, like, there was 12 pumpkins, which kind of represented, like, Haddonfield, like, the town rising up. And it also kind of signified, like, how many films there were. And it was kind of cool with, like, the violin music. And then this one was, like, the pumpkin, like, changing forms. And, like, I thought it was going to, like, change from, like, one form to, like, the Michael Myers Halloween from the first one. And, like, go back and forth. But then, like, it just kept changing designs. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's cool.
It was really weird.
I like it, but, like... And, like, it has the Halloween 3 text, which just me as a Halloween fan, it just, like, messes with my mind. Because it just doesn't make sense the way those two would be together. I don't...
Yeah.
And it's like they're trying to like say they're comparable to Halloween 3 because they're taking a massive left turn in the story, but like it's different in Halloween 3 sense because they just like threw away that entire story and said no, we're doing this instead of like being connected to the Michael Myers movies. I would hate Halloween 3 if it was set in the Michael Myers universe and it just all of a sudden switched to whatever the fuck that was, you know, with the mask. But that one also took the left turn and said from the get-go, this is not a Michael Myers movie. This one pretends to be, for the entire marketing and the title and
And it just doesn't work.
the ending, because Corey's completely not needed in the ending. He just is referenced once at the end. They're just like, oh, I was wrong about him, and she's just like, yeah, he was evil. There was no character nuance or like backstory or setup or payoff. He was just evil too. He just got sick with the evil. It happens.
It just became evil. Yep. And it's just every character is either underused, annoying, or just a jerk, and it just sucks. Like, what's the point?
And like any scene that they have with characters like interacting from characters from Kills or 2018, like I enjoyed it. I loved when the cop from the first two came back. He was fun. He's a good actor. I like him in pretty much everything I've seen him in. When Lindsay Wallace was on screen, it was cool to like see her again.
Yeah,
Kyle
Lindsay was pretty good.
Kyle Richards is actually not a super bad actress. She was more competent than I thought she would be. She wasn't a part of the movie at all, which is weird because she's like a legacy character and she's like a famous person. So like, why wouldn't you use her? And she's in the marketing, so it's like, what? They killed so many characters off in Kills. It just felt like they had nothing, and like they felt like they needed to add a bunch of characters. But it's just like, if you just like fucking written out and roadblocked your trilogy from the beginning, and like only made slight changes from when you moved from movie to movie, and like you just developed as a filmmaker, okay. But like I've seen it so much lately, and it's annoying the fucking shit out of me. I don't have any hope in blockbusters anymore because, like, just in the last few years, we had like the Star Wars sequels. Like the Rise of Skywalker was fucking atrocious, and then you had like Jurassic World Dominion, which was just like, I initially was fine with it, but just like the longer I've gone on, the more I've like disliked that movie because it's just how much they could have done with that movie, and they just completely fucking shat on it, and it's just like a fucking shell of a movie that had so much potential and such
Halloween Ends is like the Rise of Skywalker and the Dominion version of in the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, but like again with those two, they had such good setup, and this one did too. But it's just even worse because they had the same exact crew and company and everything for all three of these, and they had complete creative control. Do you know what I would do if I could have complete creative control over a Halloween trilogy? I would get that shit down to perfection as I could get before I even filmed, because I'm just touching something that I love so much that I wouldn't want to mess it up like this, and they just did it. And it's like the fifth timeline now where they've done this, and the next reboot, it's gonna be interesting what the fuck they'd even do. It's just like, it just feels like they just have to start. They just have to start from scratch.
They have to open up a new timeline now. See, that's the problem. You really had to hit it out of the park with this timeline, because now if you ever want to do anything again, you have to create a new timeline. And this could have just been the ending, and that's the end of the franchise, and that's great. That's it forever. That's cool. But no, they couldn't just do that.
I can't really live with this either as the last Halloween movie. It's just not a good ending. It's not like I needed Michael Myers to go off in the sunset, killing the entire population of Haddonfield. I was perfectly fine if he killed Michael Myers. It just had to be done right, and I didn't want to feel like I was being spit on for just loving this character for 40 years, to just see him as this old man who's just getting beaten to death, and then eventually thrown in like a fucking car grinder like Christine at the end of Christine. And you can't just say like, oh, it's just for the reference. Like, no, you have to have a satisfying death. H2O's death of Michael Myers, I thought was very well handled. Minus what the film was. That like final act of that movie like nailed it for what I would want out of a climactic like finale. If you were gonna,
it's definitely way better than whatever this movie did. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and it's just like, if you're gonna make it so Laurie and Michael have no connection, don't act like they have this big conflict between each other. They don't. You've clearly displayed Michael Myers does not care about Laurie, and that he barely even remembers her. And you've established with Laurie that she's moved on in this movie for the most part. So why is this the finale? It almost feels like if you reverse 2018 in this movie, and you had like a copycat storyline that like it shocked people that it was a copycat the whole time, and you ended with the Michael Myers reveal, and then you had Kills, and then you had Ends, which was all about Laurie and Michael eventually fighting at her house in this big climactic fire. It would have been so much better plot-wise, and like so much more of a clear progression of events. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's frustrating. a lot of frustrating elements
And
to
just
it.
like I've been holding off on this criticism for a while, but it's just so annoying how like from the beginning of this trilogy they talked about how much they just wanted to do like this series right and give it like an actual. They basically just said like we don't like the sequels, we want to make good sequels, but then they just take so much from those movies and put them in here, in each of these movies, and in some ways worse. Like they even have the stupid thing from Halloween 5 where it's like this homeless guy is like kind of like caring for Michael, where it's just like this homeless guy is just kind of like guarding Michael's fucking like sewer system. Like what the fuck? Why does he care? Why does he have a shopping cart in the
Like,
woods?
under this random bridge that also happens to be where these kids who are bullying some random character named Corey throw him down from his Michael's protege. Like what?
And how's he a protege really? They hang out like twice. Like what?
Also, the dialogue in this movie was not good at all, especially between Allison and Corey. It was really not. It was really bad.
Yeah, I thought the actor was fine with what he was given. I feel terrible for the
Yeah.
actor because he's just you're thrown into such a spot with this movie, um, and you have to like it's just so weird to introduce a main character in the third movie. Which it's akin to these other trilogies. Like it's just so weird for like Dominion to just all of a sudden be this big ensemble when I haven't seen half of these characters since like 2000, and like these new characters I barely know because you've been so focused on action and spectacle that I don't really like I just don't really care how these characters are gonna like come together. And then like something like Rise of Skywalker, where just out of left field just pulls Palpatine out of nowhere, and just completely goes against what like the previous ones were about. It's just like, why are you making these trilogies and not like lining out what you want and like what directors you want involved? But I guess clearly, if you, even if you keep the same director now, they're just gonna completely change their tune with the third movie, and it's just like I don't get it. If I write a movie, I'm writing the movie, and like I'm putting as much care as I can. And if I'm gonna be given a trilogy, I'm gonna like make sure I know where I'm leading to. And it just feels like they they can't make up their minds, or they just can't like stick with a plan. And it's just a little ridiculous. They just keep taking like criticism from fans and changing everything, and it's annoying. Just make your movies, and do it well, please. That's all I'm asking, really. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah. Um.
I mean,
It's
yeah, I don't know if you agree with what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we'll
So if
say.
you have any other thoughts, you go ahead. We'll
I
do it.
mean, there are parts of it that I did enjoy. I mean, I guess visually it wasn't super visually interesting throughout. I mean, it had okay direction. But obviously the score was really good. We knew that was going to be the case. But there were some really great tracks that went along with this movie.
I need to listen to it more because
Especially,
I don't really know which ones for sure yet.
yeah. I mean, they definitely accentuated every scene as well as they could. The sound design, classic as always with these movies, but there was just an immense number of flaws, and it leads to be pretty disappointing. This trilogy, it really sucks after what Halloween 2018 was, but it's going to end up being a disappointment.
And
But that's
oddly,
just how the cookie crumbles
this kind of goes
sometimes.
back to my old YouTube channel when I made a video that was very bad about if Halloween 2018 should get a sequel, and it turns out I was completely wrong. So I hate 14-year-old me. I hate him so much. Fuck you. I hate you. It shouldn't have been a sequel. Every time they do a reboot, it's like you make like a fine enough first movie and then like you just completely fuck it over. Like Halloween 4 was like a big hit with the fans. I don't really love it. Um, but then like they just completely ruined
Yeah,
it. They had a great Halloween 4 had a great ending. Like that was the best part about it. But then they just like completely ruined it. I actively don't like 4 as much because of how bad 5 and 6 like affect it. And the same thing with Resurrection. Like I can't watch H2O without knowing how shitty it gets like followed up with. Like I can say how like the movies don't bother me as they go on. Like it doesn't change how I like a previous movie, but just like if it's like an overarching story, it makes me want to watch it less because I know I don't like where it goes. And I'll watch this movie again at some point probably. I don't. I'll probably own this movie because I own all the other ones. Um,
yeah, I'll have to get the Steelbook. I got all the other ones, so now I have to get this one. So it's kind of like,
yeah, which I don't want, but it's just weird that the new Hellraiser was better than this, and Scream 5 was better than this. Um, it's just so weird.
I guess
And why not kill
just
Laurie in
saying.
this? Why not? She's like 70. Who cares? I don't care. Everybody's old in
Yeah.
this. Everybody's old. It's been 40 years. There's not any like progression. There's this large gap in time where we know nothing about these characters. It doesn't make sense to do a 40-year story. When 2018 was announced, which I like 2018, but just like the initial idea of being like, oh, we're doing basically H2O, but 40 years later, the impact is lessened because it's just such a large gap of time that is just almost unrealistic.
Yeah.
I
It
feel
really
like
is kind of
this
ridiculous when you
franchise
think about
needs
it.
to like take like a complete this franchise needs to like completely just kind of reboot the storyline and like start from like present day, but like keep the Michael Myers character like for the most part the same and just like have a new storyline. But like again, it's just like Halloween. It's so inherently unfranchisable. And so was Jurassic Park. I don't know if you saw, but the director of Dominion outright said in a quote that there should have only been one movie, which warrants the question: why did you make a whole trilogy? Why? If you're
Yeah.
if I'm gonna sit down and write a movie and the whole time in my head I'm just like thinking about how good the previous movie was and how like perfect it was and how there doesn't really need to be another one, why would I dedicate like 6 years of my life to making movies that are inherently lower quality? That's why I have to give credit to a lot of these directors that just don't do franchise and like big Marvel stuff because it's just like not it's not what they want to make. They want to make movies that like are intimate and like they're proud of. And this just feels like a weird test movie of these weird storylines because they want it to be different. That's just labeled as this product that we want to see, but we don't get that for the last 20 minutes.
It just makes it all kind of feel like a waste of time in the end.
I mean, I enjoy the hype that we had. I enjoyed watching these movies. It was great to see 3 new Halloween movies in theaters. It's a bit unreal, to be honest. When I became a fan of this franchise, all the big franchises for slashers just seemed like in this like inescapable hellhole
Very often.
that the remake genre kind of put them into. But honestly, right now, if they announce a new Halloween movie and a new Friday the 13th movie, I would have more active interest in a new Friday the 13th than a new Halloween right now because this put me in a weird spot because like it's just like you've seen what happened when you like replace Jason and it didn't go well. You've seen what happens in your own franchise when you deviate too far from the formula in the Rob Zombie films, and when you completely change direction with Halloween 3. And even though I love New Nightmare, they like you saw the significant lack in revenue once you just completely like take a meta approach to a storyline that's been inherently not meta. It's just like why would you do it again?
Yeah, making such a big turn like that, it's clearly going to have a negative
It's
impact
hard to
on
do, and like
your overarching
yeah,
story.
it's hard to do. And Wes Craven did it good because he was a good filmmaker. If John Carpenter wanted to make a Halloween movie that is just completely against the grain, which he did, it's called Halloween 3. He just didn't direct it because he probably didn't care.
Yeah.
But like if John Carpenter dedicated himself to doing like a Halloween sequel that was inherently different than the original, he could pull it off, sure. But this is David Gordon Green guy. All he's directed is like stoner comedies and like weird real life true story movies. And he did really good at 2018. I was very surprised with the quality of that movie. But then just kills and ends. It almost feels like they just should have just got different directors. Honestly, um, honestly,
Yeah, that's true. David Gordon Green is such like a polarizing like end in film because he's been
he
in quite a
seems like
few
a sweet guy. I
movies
mean, he
and like
seems like a genuine fan. I don't see how you as a lifelong fan would write this script for ends and even kills in a way and just be like, this is what I want as a fan.
yeah.
Just God, if I got to make a Halloween movie and I got John Carpenter's approval and like he's told me he would make the soundtrack and he'd be involved actively with the films, and I got like Jamie Lee Curtis back and like Nick Castle back and like all these actors back and like I get to live in this world of Halloween and dedicate years of my life. I make millions of dollars off of just making a movie about a project that I just can't stop loving. I would just first off I'd cry if John Carpenter approved of any script I wrote. And second off, I would take so much care and attention to detail. I'd run everything by John. I wouldn't let Jamie Lee Curtis insert all of the politics and themes she wants in this movie about like trauma and mob mentality that just it doesn't fit in a Halloween movie too much. These movies are supposed to be like good characters in horror situations with an unstoppable force that we just love to see kill people. Um, and it's just like, even if you watch 2018, they have these such good little Myers moments, like when he actively doesn't kill a baby. That's like one of my favorite Michael Myers scenes. I love the way how much character you see in Michael Myers through the lack of character
Yeah,
in that scene. And then you transition to
yeah,
this where he does like a
great
weird like
point.
orgasm shake after he kills a guy, and it's just like, how do you signify this as his transition to having power again? Like I can literally I could show you a scene that would be better, where you just show Michael Myers straightening his back and like just like like do with a head tilt or something to show that he has his power back instead of like this like weird like he's almost like climaxing. Like what the fuck is that? That's like Rob Zombie level shit. What are you doing? You filmed that, you wrote that, and you told the actor to do that, and you put that in your film, and you're fine with it. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, um, it's just kind of ridiculous, and it feels like an extremely disappointing wasted opportunity, which it
It's
happens. But when it comes to one of my favorite franchises, from one of my favorite movies branching off into this arc, it's really upsetting.
yeah, like I love this franchise through and through. I don't think many of these movies are good, but I think just how good that first movie was, I can enjoy any of the movies for the most part, just because there's some parts that I enjoy. I'm a horror movie fan, I'm a slasher fan, I'm a Michael Myers fan, so I'm inherently going to give a lot of these movies more credence than they would probably deserve. And there's things I like about this one. If it was on TV or if I just watched it one Halloween, I wouldn't hate it. It's never going to be my first choice. And if I give it another watch or two, I could probably go the rest of my life never seeing it again. And it's just hard to believe that millions of dollars were thrown into this. And it kind of makes sense now that the marketing was so limited compared to the other two and just how little of attention it's got. It's just, it didn't bring people in with its marketing because it just seemed like another Halloween movie. And then when you get, and the people that went into it got the complete opposite of what they wanted. So it's just like, who's this for? Who is this for? I don't know who this is for. Like the 5% that will think it's the greatest thing ever, that will actively say that they did stuff that they didn't want it, but they just like it anyway. Like what?
Yeah. Um,
I don't get it. You make movies like Dominion and fucking Rise of Skywalker. You can't tell me that you would watch the final cut of it like before it goes out to fucking theaters and you just be happy with that product. I couldn't be.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. It just makes a product that's it would be better without this being a thing, which is the most upsetting part of it.
It's just such a shame because like I love this franchise. I love the first one. It's one of my favorite movies ever. It's arguably one of the best horror movies ever made. Definitely probably the best slasher movie of its genre. And like I loved a lot of these movies when I first saw them. Like I loved Halloween 2 initially. I still really like Halloween 2, and honestly, after seeing where this timeline goes, Halloween 2 might now be my favorite sequel. Again, I don't know. Um, which is just funny because like basically the beginning of 2018 was basically just retroactively erase Halloween 2 out of my mind. But now honestly, I kind of want to watch Halloween 2 to kind of like cleanse my mouth. Um, the fact that Drunk Carpenter's script beats this script is just kind of funny, honestly. If you could make a better script than most people on a drunk day, I think you're probably a good screenwriter. Um, like Ellis, of course.
I could write a better script than that, bro. Come on.
Bro, I think we've talked about ideas we've had that are better than that. Once we get our film company up and running, of course. And like, I mean, Allie's not awake right now, but she mentioned how, I mean, she said that like killing Myers kind of makes him not scary, which I don't necessarily agree with. I feel like this movie inherently just makes Michael Myers not scary anymore, and it's just, I feel like it's such, if you made a, if you made a much more small scale movie focused on like just like the intensity of like this guy stalking you and this unstoppable force, it could just be such a good little self-contained movie that just so happens to be connected to a classic. But they keep going like to this balls to the wall action, final confrontation stuff that just isn't really necessary. Laurie Strode isn't really a character in that first movie. She's just kind of like the babysitter that isn't the babysitter that avoids her responsibilities. And I feel like there's not much character there for like this multi-movie arc that is supposed to make me care about how if she lives or not. I didn't care if she died in this movie.
Yeah.
I cared in 20...
That's the thing with Laurie. The thing with Laurie is that she's just the one who survived in 78. Like, that's it.
Yeah, and then Carpenter realized that, so he retroactively made her important to Michael as a character. And obviously that goes against Michael's character and motivations, so eventually we course corrected that. But in the end, they just couldn't detach themselves from Laurie. So it's like, what was the point of making them not siblings then? If you're going to keep them together so innately.
Yeah, I definitely see that point there. Overall, it's just it is really polarizing in a way. But I was just sitting there in the theater, and the number of that I was just like, what am I watching right now? Like, what is going on? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. I was like, why? Shouldn't be that baffled for that amount of time during a movie, especially a movie that's supposed to be this climactic ending to a franchise that I have spent a lot of time enjoying and being a fan of. So it's just, I don't know. Expectations were really low, so I can't really say that the film itself, like in a vacuum, really disappointed me. But like as a whole, this trilogy, it comes out to be a disappointment, which really sucks. I'll probably still rewatch them. I didn't hate them. There were a bunch of them that I really enjoyed, and I'll probably rewatch them just for the score alone, which I could just listen to it now. But you know what I mean. And I still like 2018. Halloween Kills. It's at least enjoyable. This one would be almost the most fun to just kind of watch, just to make fun of, which is upsetting, but I mean, it's something that's there that I can talk about upon a rewatch with this thing. So it's just such a polarizing and divisive set of movies.
Yeah, and like of course I love talking about Halloween with you especially, but it's so disappointing as a fan to just constantly kind of be disappointed. Even getting Carpenter involved. I mean, we always knew he would never direct again. He would never really be involved again. But it was just nice to know that he had like some sort of oversight. But in the end, I don't really think he did it all.
This is his story. You know what I mean? Like, this is his characters.
I feel like if with each film you can see less and less of him being involved, and much more focus on the score, which I get is more of what he's into now. Even though recently he said he would want to do a Dead Space movie, which is very out of left field, but please give him the money to do that. I would love to see him direct again before he dies. Please. And I get it. If I was Joe Carpenter and it was like fucking 45 years after I made this one little movie when I was fucking 22, and like it's a good movie, and it's just to franchise it to this point and just not really bring much value and even continuity. It's fine to have multiple timelines. Like I like example, the Batman this year, amazing. I love it. It's like the 5th timeline with different Batman. I still love it because it's good. It's a different story, and I like what they're doing. You could have done that with this. Like I know this won't be the ending of the Halloween franchise, but it's the end of the storyline that you're telling. So make it good. Do what you want, but don't like go so against the character. That's why a large people don't like Ben Affleck as Batman, because it's just like it just goes so against the character, and it's just like, yeah, make your own interpretation of the storyline, but don't just deviate so far. Because at that point, just make some other horror movie with Jamie Lee Curtis starring. Like, why does it need to be a Halloween movie?
At least make it have purpose. Like, I don't know.
And if there's any jokes about this movie in Scream 6, it'd probably be hilarious. I'm gonna be honest, because the movie's just kind of laughable. So.
You mean Scream ! Exclamation point. But
not confirmed yet. Not confirmed yet. But I can already tell Scream 6 is gonna be better, because it's just like, it just feels like Scream is so much of a better team working on it now. It's just compared to this, like this franchise is in shambles again. It happens every time. They do way too many movies. Stop it. Stop at Halloween 2. Stop at Halloween 4. Stop at H2O. Stop at 2018. Why do you keep going on to the point where I kind of like actively don't care anymore? And I just want to like
I
refresh
know,
my mouth.
especially getting us excited this time. Like that's the most like, just like come on.
You can never do this type of storyline again. You really it's such a weird spot. I'm not excited for like another Halloween movie right now, but I'm very interested on whatever the plot is.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what they would do.
And please don't dump it on
Considering,
Hulu. Please don't. Uh,
especially with the state of the franchise.
I hope this doesn't become like a straight to streaming franchise after this, because it was kind of nice because Halloween really like there were so many times where like it almost like skidded to that like straight to streaming, straight to DVD route, but they always like somehow made it to theaters every time. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, it would just suck to see this go to streaming one day. So, which they did for this one too for some reason, probably because they knew people really wouldn't want to see this once they saw word of mouth. So. Because the responses to this movie have been, I've seen a few good reviews, but like all of them have stated how flawed it is. So it's like, well, why are you saying it's good then? And then there's been like some like mixed ones but a lot of bad ones, like even more than Kills. It has a bad rating too. It has like a 36 from critics, like a 50 from audiences. That is bad, especially compared to 2018, which had like the highest of the franchise almost.
Right.
I believe it almost has.
It just shows like
yeah.
the decline.
I just don't get it. You had everything. You even had probably the best
Yeah.
actor to play Michael Myers since the original, and you barely use him in this final appearance as the character. Why? I would feel so disrespected if I played this character, and in my final film, they just don't have me in it at all. Uh,
And because now James Jude Courtney, the actor, he now has the honor of having played Michael in the most appearances as Michael Myers.
yeah,
And
he was
this is how
excellent. When he was in this movie, he was good. He was good.
Yeah.
He just did weird fucking things that weren't Michael Myers, and like the way he died, it was just so sad because he felt like so mistreated in this movie that the death didn't feel earned or satisfying. It's just they've tried to kill Michael Myers so many times at this point. I don't think you really could have a satisfying Michael Myers death unless it's ambiguous. And then the end of this movie, they try to be because they do the thing from the first movie where like they show like a bunch of rooms from like the house to like maybe like give you a feeling of, oh, is he still there? But it's like so clear in this movie that he's dead. So it's just like, why fucking do the bait and switch at the end? And
Yeah.
I really wanted to be blessed with that John Carpenter score waving over me right when the credits rolled, but for some reason it was some like 70s rock music. I don't know why. Another Christine thing, but
Yeah. When they played "Don't Fear the Reaper," I was like, "Are you serious? Like really?
yeah,
Don't Fear the Reaper, really? You play a Blue Oyster Cult song,
yeah.
and
I haven't listened to the whole soundtrack like on my own yet. I listened to a few, and like I listened to the Laurie's theme that they did for this movie, and it is so good, so good. They even like implement parts of Halloween 2's Laurie theme, and it's just the fact that there is more care and just like attention to the soundtrack, which is the only part where John Carpenter is hands-on involved in, really shows that you probably should have just gave every possible dollar you could have given to this man to churn out another Halloween movie, like direct it.
yeah, well, it would have been great, depending on because like it's just John Carpenter. That's what he does.
Like even if he somehow didn't make a great Halloween movie again, it would probably just be good enough just because of his directing, his attention to like script writing and like his music. So it probably would have been like my second favorite just because he's directing it. So. But if I was in a position, I don't really want to direct a sequel to a movie I made over 40 years ago because it just feels like, what do I really have to say? So, unless you're
Yeah.
James Cameron of Avatar, but
I will say it was really cool that they had John Carpenter's The Thing playing on
that
the
was
TV in
cool.
this
That
movie.
was a good start. That like whole opening scene was like, okay, here we go, and then like it just went downhill. It was cool because
Yeah.
it was them watching The Thing, but John Carpenter's The Thing when John Carpenter had them watching The Thing, which later inspired his thing. It was a nice full circle moment that I did not expect. So
Yeah, that was really nice, especially being one of my favorite scenes from that movie, and that that being my favorite movie of all time. That was one of my favorite part of all of Halloween, and it was when it showed a different movie, which yeah, but like that was just a cool moment because it just made sense to do that. I really liked that. Um, so especially with that, all in all, these last two movies, it was really nice getting excited for them, being hyped to go see them. Like actually felt like having a meeting to see a movie in the theater, and then talking about them afterward with you, and just talk to other people about it. All of that's been really nice, honestly. Um,
I've enjoyed the ride. I
and
just I'm
yeah,
done.
even if they're not best
Yeah.
movies, I mean, I still enjoy having been a part of the fandom for it. And I guess there's probably some sort of future there. I really don't know what that's gonna happen with this franchise now, but I mean, this is where we're looking for now. So
Yeah, I mean, it's safe to say I don't think I ever want to see Jamie Lee Curtis talk about Halloween again. Um, I honestly am tired of Haddonfield. I would like them to move away from Haddonfield. I don't know why they're so fixated on this town. Because that was maybe one of the like only real changes I liked in H2O was that they kind of took a risk and like changed up locations. It was just weird that they changed the like the one state that had like the least Halloween feel around October. Um, And if whatever they do next, I either want them to go back to the anthology route with either a Halloween 3 sequel, Halloween 3 2 as we would call it, or just like a different like anthology type idea, or do something completely different. I always thought it'd be interesting if they had Loomis's son or something involved, and like at the end, like sure you end a Michael Myers storyline, but then you can have like a basically like a Loomis detective role, continue on and investigate other cases. So therefore, you still have a franchise. It's just like actually different in like a way that isn't insulting. But Halloween Ends is what we get. So
yeah,
it's weird that I can think of fan films that have been released by Halloween that have like a better story than like this whole trilogy. So, um, but yeah. This is definitely a disappointing one. Not the worst of the year by any margin, but one of the most disappointing probably.
yeah, it wasn't great. I will say I did enjoy it all in all, and I will always be defensive over these movies. This like sequel trilogy, if you will. Um, it's not the worst thing out there. It really isn't. It has a lot of flaws. Could have been way better, and it's a huge missed opportunity. But it is what it is. Can't do anything about it now. So, and I gotta say, I do. Um, yeah, I did just enjoy them. That's really all I got for that.
Yeah. I mean, do you know where it would be in your list, really? Did you update your list?
Yeah, I did. It's not set yet, though. I have it below Kills, above Halloween 4, so I'm not sure yet, though.
Did you put it in your, like, year list?
Yeah, it's not super high up. It's like I'm sitting around probably a 3 out of 10 right now, but it's like a higher three. It's a closer to a 4 2 for sure.
Oh.
So yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this movie again at some point, but for now, that's probably about most I have there.
yeah, that's probably
So
all I
you did
got. I
not
think
like
I'm gonna.
Terrifier 2, huh?
What was that?
You did not really like Terrifier 2, did you?
No, Terrified 2 sucked.
I heard a
It
lot
would
of
have been
praise about
fine.
it, so.
It would have been fine if it was like an hour and 15 minutes. It's like almost 2 hours, which is fucking ridiculous. It's
Yeah.
just being it's just being gory for for almost 2.5 hours, which is just completely pointless. Like, if there was any more substance to it, I would have liked it more, but yeah, no.
Yeah, but speaking of substance, we do have a movie about substance abuse, which is the new Hellraiser. If you want to talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, this new Hulu exclusive 11th entry in the Hellraiser franchise is the Hellraiser franchise's take on just making another movie that's the same title as the original, except this one is it's kind of weird, like trying to fit it in with like a timeline of like that original movie. But it's also like that original movie is so weird to begin with. But yeah, the 2022 Hellraiser, I actually really enjoyed it, and I've noticed not many people have. It's been one that like a few like critics have been very high on, and then some other, but the overall consensus is that it's just okay. But I really enjoyed it, so I haven't really gotten your thoughts on it. So what do you got for me?
So, I thought it was okay. I don't love it by any means. I I like it probably just as much as the original, which is the only two I've seen. Um, I honestly, the biggest problems for me really were the pacing and the human characters. They just didn't really do enough for me. Um, they just felt a little too cliche or not really that interesting. Besides the character that like had the box at the beginning that was like sacrificing people, he was kind of interesting, but he wasn't really in it a lot. I thought all the Cenobite stuff was cool, all the added visuals. I mentioned it in my review. The even like the idea of the puzzle box changing was like such a great idea because then it's kind of hard to believe they didn't do that yet, since it's a puzzle box. But here we are, um, and I of course loved that Clive Barker got involved. It was much better, I think, with his involvement. Uh, he clearly had more of a hands-on development than Carpenter ever would on Halloween, so it's good to see him still a little bit passionate in what he literally created from the ground up. Um, but I don't know if I'd ever really watch this again. The gore was good. It had meaning. It was like grotesque, but in a way that I couldn't really like look away. I just kind of like had to see it, and I don't know how it does that, but it makes gore in a way not scary. Um, just kind of like a part of the story. I mean, what do you
Yeah,
think?
that's a really cool aspect of this film is like having those grotesque moments is really being gruesome and out there in like a really demented way. It's really they make it so integrated with the plot that's going on, and it feels like even like important to the plot that it just doesn't really like get to me in that sense. There was some pretty good gore. Overall, the visual style was actually really great in this movie. I really liked it. I really liked the way that it flowed, and it just seemed to be really visually appealing from beginning to end. Um, Honestly, I didn't really have that many issues with it. I thought the story it made sense in the context, and it was a pretty good. I think it was one of the best ways to do a modern version of a Hellraiser story, which is really what I like to ask for with a lot of these modern horror sequels. If they're going to continue a franchise, this is the way I'd like to see it done. Um, there are some. The only thing that really held it back for me was honestly the characters. I mean, there were a couple issues with pacing, but it didn't really get to me that bad, honestly. I think the main issue was the characters because they weren't really like the most of the characters didn't really attach very well. The performances weren't stellar. Um, I didn't feel. I didn't like all the relationships didn't feel super like natural. All that was there, and it just kind of it took me out in some parts. But other than that, the Cenobites were fantastic. Um, it had a really good sound design. It kept me engaged. It was just really enjoyable from beginning to end. I liked it a lot more than I was expecting. So
Yeah, on the scene with the guy who was like becoming a Cenobite at the end, like how they visualized that was fucking. It was It was fucking spine tingling, man. And then the way they killed the roommate, I think it was an Asian girl. The way that she got fucking sent in there and what they did to her with the chains was fucking, that's terrible. Um, it's fucking atrocious. How fucking, like, it just, you can feel how fucking terrible that would feel, like, just in your fucking body happening to you, and just how like disturbed it makes me feel, but I can't look away. It's like, it's weird how they can accomplish gore in a movie like this done well, compared to, like, say, Saw, where it's like it's just kind of like gore for gore's sake to make you squirm in your seat. But Clive Barker has made it like an almost beauty to behold on screen in these movies, the two that I've seen him be involved in. So, um, I like the new Pinhead. They did something I didn't really expect, where they actually kind of like adjusted the character to the gender, where they almost like she almost seems seductive in a way in some scenes, especially with the main villain, kind of like almost seeing like subdued by like the puzzle box and the Cenobites. Um, she gave a really good performance, and like it was different than Doug Bradley, but it wasn't like a stray away from the character. I can kind of like see these two as like really good interpretations of the character. So, kudos to that, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Also, though, it's a shame that this got dumped on Hulu. Same with Prey. It's just weird that these two franchises that have been arguably pretty bad for like years and decades finally have good movies and they're just like dumped. So, um,
yeah, especially this one. This one really impressed me.
I feel like it
It's
would.
really kind
I
of
feel like this
unfortunate
movie would
it's
have
not.
done well in like this season right now. So,
Yeah, I mean, especially since it's pretty dry for good horror movies this October. So like a theater release probably would have done it really well.
what do you mean Black Adam comes out next week?
Yeah, Black Adam does come out, which is getting like
It's
the
getting a
early
lot of
reviews are
praise.
very promising.
Well, it's
Yeah,
because
so I
its
guess
post
we'll.
credit scene got leaked and Henry Cavill's back and everybody's freaking out. I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I try to avoid leaks typically, but
Oh, sorry. I guess I didn't think you'd really care as a fucking Black Adam.
no, I don't really care. I don't really care about that. I don't really like Henry Cavill. I mean he's fine. I don't dislike him, but like it's just like whatever.
What? You don't like Henry Cavill? He's like the best Superman.
He's fine. Like I just don't. He's okay. Um, no, but it's like, I mean, what am I trying to say? Because it's like Black Adam's gonna come out and like yeah sure, okay, and
I
my
mean,
thing with leaks, like, I don't know how they're so prevalent now. Like it just happens all the time. Like it'll just be like so much gets leaked. Like obviously like Mario Kart's got this DLC right now where they're like releasing like a new wave every like so often. It's like the first like wave came out of 6, and they've already predicted almost the entire of the DLC through the end of next year. It's like, bro, what the fuck? They've already leaked all of it. It's like, dude, like calm down. Leaks are crazy.
yeah, I mean, this entire new Halloween trilogy had leaks up the wazoo, and almost all of them were right. So, pretty much
Yeah.
every movie now, there's at least like a few leaks that will get out there that are actually like pretty correct. Um, I mean, spoilers don't really ruin movies for me. I could still enjoy the movie. But obviously, it'd be better if the environment was less like about spoiling things. Um, but it gets clicks and it gets like their 5 minutes of fame. But
Right, that's true.
people kind of go into
Um,
movies to like get an experience, like from the first eyes, first look. And when you're kind of spoiled, it can kind of dampen that for like a lot of people. So, um, I did an experiment on that, and I guess you just dislike a movie if you get it spoiled for some reason. Um,
right.
which is definitely not true for like most people.
But yeah, Black Adam is releasing. There's not much else coming out soon.
I mean, Smile was a good like October, Halloween movie to see, but it wasn't like that big of a movie, so there
Yeah, I
really
still
hasn't been
haven't seen it.
much.
Check it
So
out.
what?
Yeah, I still haven't seen that one. I've been meaning to check it out. Uh, This new Hellraiser really impressed me. I actually really enjoyed it. I'll probably revisit it. Probably my favorite of the franchise, honestly. Which, just beginning to end, I enjoyed.
I saw a lot
I
of
enjoyed.
distaste for the main human character online. Like they just made it seem like she's this horrible person. But maybe I was just like tired or something, and I didn't realize it. But she didn't seem like that bad for like given the circumstances.
No, she seemed fun. She seemed like an actually like really just like a flawed character, like how you should do a
I
flawed
just saw
character.
people
If you
online
ask me.
reviewing the movie and just saying like how like the flaws of her as like the character just made her so unlikable. I was like, have you guys like not had problems before in your life? Shit sucks. Okay. And if I had like literal demons chasing me, like killing my brother, I'd probably be like a little fucking insane. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah,
If I had like this
just a
like
tad.
puzzle box like stab me like viciously, then like all of a sudden I was seeing like these fucking like weird like BDSM demons telling me to bring them blood, I'd probably be freaking out a little bit.
Just a tad.
I'd probably be like, average day in Ohio, am I right? Typical Ohio morning. Those fucking memes are insane. The most like fucking gruesome shit will happen. Like it'll be like a mass shooting, 25 dead, and people are like, this is such an Ohio.
Yeah,
Like damn, typical day in Ohio, and it's just like a guy like eating his wife.
it's so messed up. Like these people are dying.
People in Ohio
Like,
just be like, what the fuck? There was like a meme about like obliterating like human beings, like killing them viciously, and like people are like typical Ohio day. Life in Ohioan. Fucker stole my physical form. I can't even walk in Detroit.
yes, sir.
Yeah. But of course, Prey 2 and Hellraiser 2, which is not to be confused with Hellraiser 2 Hellbound, because this is Hellraiser 2 Unbound, will be
Why?
released straight to straight to Hulu Plus. You have to pay $8 more to see these, a week
Hulu. $8 a week.
to see these two films that you'll watch once and never see again. But we don't have She-Hulk, so that's a plus. Um, did you hear about the She-Hulk ending? Because it sounded fucking atrocious.
No.
There was like,
What did everything?
yeah, there's just like a lot of, there was like a weird fourth wall break and stuff, and like it just was so dumb. Because maybe it's just me, but like the MCU doesn't really work for fourth wall breaks, so with how it's been like set up, so that's just me.
Yeah, I don't know. She-Hulk sounds like a huge step in the wrong direction. So.
Yeah, and like I don't know if you saw, there's like another Black Panther trailer. I'm still not really excited for that. A lot of people are now though for some reason. Um, I don't know
Yeah.
if we're gonna cover it. I guess we'll just see how we feel when it's closer to coming out. If we really want to go out of our way to see it, but at this current moment, I honestly might just save my money. So
Yeah, I don't know. I really want. I'm just so uninterested in that movie. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah,
I
I'll see.
really have no interest in that.
I'll see Ant-Man 3, but
Yeah, I'm interested in that one, but I'm not interested in Wakanda 2 at all. Or
and
Wakanda
I will
Forever.
see Guardians 3 for sure,
Oh yeah, that one I'm
and
excited for.
Deadpool 3 when it
So
comes out in like 4 years, which was announced for
yeah,
some reason. So
I don't know why they announced all that stuff if it's just not gonna come out for another decade. What's the point?
excitement. I mean, you remember it's supposed to come out like a year, like 5 years from now, and it comes out a month when you could just found out about it then. So honestly though, I forgot to mention this, but watching like the reviews and stuff and like people just talking about Halloween like immediately after a new movie comes out, it's always kind of fun, new content to watch. So
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, I know the Sardonicast is gonna be very good. They're gonna have a lot of good thoughts, a lot.
Yeah, that's pretty much confirmed.
They're gonna tear its asshole apart and then make it bleed.
Yikes, that is some imagery right there.
Ralph
Alright.
might actually not like a movie.
Yeah, Ralph, he logged it on Letterboxd, but he didn't give his rating yet. So.
I saw that. I was like, does that mean 0 stars? I'm confused.
No, that means they're gonna talk about it, so he's not giving away his rating yet.
Oh, spicy.
Yes, sir.
Oh, the Mario trailer. Do you like it?
Oh yeah. I did like it.
Besides Chris Pratt.
I liked it. The animation looks really good. It actually looks like, since we're even still 6 months out from release, it actually does look good. It looks like they put a lot of care into that. You can tell that Nintendo is very involved because it really feels like Nintendo. Jack Black sounds really good as Bowser. I like the character models. Mario even looks pretty good. My only problem is the voice, because Chris Pratt is clearly not the voice of Mario, and it doesn't work. Even from those 2 lines that we heard, I can already tell you it's gonna suck. So that's my only problem, which is a big problem, but it's my only one. I'm kind of excited for it just because I love Mario so much that I'm just gonna go enjoy that movie either way, no matter how bad it is. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember the leaks we talked about, and it does not sound good if it's like that at all.
Yeah,
Like a
no.
musical scene with Bowser, like what?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like Mario. It really, based on the voice and everything else, it really sounds like he's gonna be like living in like New York, and then like he gets transported to the Mushroom Kingdom, and that'll be interesting if they do it right. So I mean, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But
Yeah, it looks like it could be good. The animation looks good alone, so that's probably the main reason I'll see it. Is to just see like an accurate representation of a video game on screen. So,
yeah, definitely true.
Jack Black is surprisingly good as Bowser, like surprisingly.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. That seems like it's probably gonna be the best casting. That or Toad was sounding really good too. Keegan Michael Key actually was pulling off Toad really well. So
Yeah, still didn't see any Seth Rogen Donkey Kong though.
yeah, that part's definitely sounds questionable. I don't know. I don't know about that.
It could be good though, but I don't remember Donkey Kong really talking. Does he?
Um,
In the games, does it just make noises? I thought.
he just makes noises. He doesn't really talk, from what I remember. So I
And
guess
I don't really see what he would fit in the story here.
now he's gonna talk. I guess so. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll be nice to play Mario Party again in December.
Yeah, we'll have to hang out a lot in December when available.
I'm sorry, Allie wants to hang out. I'm just kidding. Nah, I'll be around a lot. Hopefully, as long as people are also free. But everybody works like 6 days a week now, so.
Yeah, that is true.
Besides, like Tommy, of course, he's been unemployed for 8 years. So, um, yeah. Is there anything else to talk about? Is there anything else like happened? Movies are so dry right now. I can't.
I know, it's crazy how dry movies are. This could be a world where Into the or Across the Spider-Verse was already released, but nope, it's like 8 months away.
Imagine if it did come out like this year and you saw it and then like you went to like your second biggest film you were hyped for and it was like Halloween Ends and it's just like such a stark contrast.
Oh my god.
It's like, oh my god, a series that has a new film coming out where the people that care and put effort and like time, and it's like, oh my god, I love this, and then it's like, Halloween Ends, and it's like, oh my god, I hate it.
Oh, this exists.
Oh my god, this was the film that ended this year. It ended.
It did end. The end was very ending.
But I
And
think we should get a new Pinhead versus Michael movie with the new characters that we got here, honestly.
and we have to. We have to do 65-year-old Michael versus girl Pinhead. It'd be great.
I swear to God, if they make like another one where it's like Michael, but like from like the same-ish timeline where he's like now like 70 or older, it's just be like, I'm gonna fucking cry.
I know they're doing where Michael's like 100 years old, but somehow like is like extremely able-bodied.
The thing is, they could have done that. They could have just been like, oh, he's not really human, so it's just like age doesn't really affect him. But very clearly in these movies, they have shown that, and it was ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. She's like, okay, he's not human, but he can somehow hit a door, so like somebody's gun somehow immediately turns around, and somehow the trigger still gets pulled. Somehow.
just doesn't make sense.
How was it watching like all 4 of them at once?
It was definitely interesting. I can
Because
tell you
like I
that.
guess I haven't really like seen the trilogy like one after the other, but you kind of have. Did it really like work at all? Like how to feel?
It just felt so like disconnected, really. Like it just didn't really feel like it all went together. That was the main problem.
Well, yeah.
Because like I mean, it was good. It honestly was enjoyable because it did feel like a trilogy, but it also felt like they were all so like different as far as like the tone just didn't match up and all that. So, um, it wasn't the worst experience, but like it definitely shows how much like how it could have been all done way better.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think we said this a lot, but it's just such a shame to see it go down so much when it was at such a good point, and to just see, like I say that like 2018, like my feelings have kind of like I kind of inherently kind of like not dislike it, but just kind of have less like put less value into it as a movie because of like where its sequels took it. But like John Carpenter's Halloween, like you can make the shittiest goddamn sequel to that movie, and it just still will not touch it. Um,
Right.
like we both said before, it's just kind of the quintessential Halloween film, one of those quintessential slasher movies, really, even horror. In all honesty, um, very, very minuscule problems in that movie, and it's just it's back to the point where it's just like these franchises are going on for so long that they're just so clearly unfranchisable, or at very least like past a few movies there's just not much you can do there, but like they just keep going back and just hoping they can figure it out, and now they're just starting to make movies that are just so completely different that it's just like you could have just made a different movie now and just had it been inspired by Halloween, and it probably would have been better as a result. So um, yeah, but in contrast to Hellraiser here, where they did take a left swing with the plot and what they did, but it was still like a Hellraiser movie. It was connected, very loosely, but it was connected, and it felt like a genuine like attempt at moving this franchise forward, while also giving the fans in ways what they would want to see. And I think that's a hard balance to do, especially for horror movies and horror franchises, where there's fans that love Halloween 3, but they hate like the original. There's people that love Rob Zombie's Halloween. There's people that love different timelines for different reasons, and it's just so hard to like um, find something for everyone. So with Hellraiser, it was much easier. Just forget everything, please. Just forget it all.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It must suck though. I mean, for like the people that made Halloween Ends, because it just if I made a movie with about a franchise I love and just seeing it get torn apart online, it would hurt a little bit. Uh,
Yeah, I
I
get
would
that.
just hate to make a movie and it's just
It's still
universally
felt like,
panned.
yeah, I can still tell that it's tried. But even if it disappointed, I can still see that there was effort there, and that's why
Which is
I
why I
don't
can't put it at the
absolutely
bottom. Really, there's so many other movies in this franchise that just didn't really try.
right.
Yeah. I still need to watch the Rob Zombie ones though. God.
Yeah, I mean you could honestly just skip those to your life if you wanted. It wouldn't really be,
Yeah, but OCD, bro. You watch like all the
Yeah,
Marmaduke movies, so
yeah. Unfortunately,
the Marmaduke verse.
it's so expansive and exceptional.
Sound like my cock. This is an hour and 40 minutes. Holy shit! This is almost as long as the movie. I'm not even joking.
Yeah, it is almost. There's talking about other stuff too. That
Yeah, not much to talk about though. Coming soon, I guess. Avatar 2. that I don't really want to see either, to be honest. So I guess I,
Yeah,
I
I
am
mean that's
excited.
gonna.
This is a Disney Plus thing, but at the end of the year, the Guardians holiday special is supposed to come out, so I am excited for that.
Yeah, that'll probably be good because it's just Guardians. So
And it's supposed to set up the third film like directly, and it's James Gunn like directed it, so I'm hoping for that. It's gonna be pretty good. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what we'll talk about next week. Maybe we could. I'd like to do something Halloween centric. Maybe we could do like a tier list of some of the franchises or something. I don't know. Um,
yeah, we'll have to find some stuff to do because wow,
Because Halloween's
it's gonna
also
be
like
really.
on a Sunday and like a Monday, which is just like the worst days for Halloween to be. Um,
Oh, I finally saw a trailer for that upcoming movie called Babylon, which is the new Damien Chazelle movie, and I'm excited for that because he's a really good filmmaker, and that looks pretty interesting. So
yeah, I've seen the trailer a few times, and like it looks interesting, but I have no idea what the fuck is going on or like why,
yeah,
which is probably part of the
yeah,
point. So
yeah, I'm excited though.
yeah, but it was a fun night seeing this movie. Just disappointing. Um, it's gonna baffle me to this day how everything turned out the way it did. Um, with literally everything they could have possibly got at their fingertips, and they'll never get it again. Um, so yeah, I mean, I hope whatever they do next, because it's impossible for us to hope for even a second that they'll just stop. Um, but since it will continue, I just hope they really start from scratch this time and really build something up that is worthy of being next to the original, and just the legacy of the franchises in general. So sadly, this was just kind of another speed bump in the franchise that just ultimately really just kind of got us back to where we've been most of the time, which is just hoping for a genuine good Halloween movie. So here we are again. Hopefully they'll wait a few years. They probably will. So, do you have
Yeah,
any final
it'd be a little
thoughts?
weird if next year they announced another a new movie and it'd be like Halloween Begins or something. I'd be like, oh my god.
Just they like legally changed 1978 to Halloween Begins.
Yeah, we were talking about can you imagine if they did that?
I was explaining to Allie earlier, and it's just kind of ridiculous talking about like the titles. It's just like, okay, so there's three Halloween ones. One of them is technically Halloween 2, and then there's two Halloween 2s. And then there's technically a Halloween 2, but it's called Halloween already. And then there's a third movie that talks about witch in the title, Season of the Witches, when there's like zero witches in the movie. And then there's three movies in a row that are just the same title but like a different word. And then there's one just called Water. And then there's like movies just called Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. Like that doesn't sound like it should be like put together. So
Yeah, it's
just the more you think
it's
about
one of
it,
the most named
because then
franchises.
I told Allie what your score was for Halloween, and she's like, "Oh, 1.5. It must be like the lower part." I was like, "Actually, it's like right in the."
Wait,
I was like,
what?
Allie saw you. I told Allie what you got for the rating of Halloween Ends, and I said like a 1.5. She's like, "Damn, it must be like at the bottom of the list, like near the bottom." And I like laughed. I was like, "It's actually like right in the middle."
Yeah, no.
I was like, "There's actually six
There's a
movies he thinks that are worse than this."
there's a lot of garbage in this franchise.
I was like, "I actually don't know why I'm a fan." To be honest.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be if you're talking about Friday the 13th, if I watched the new one and gave it a 1 out of 10, there's a good chance it could still be only the fifth worst.
Let's go.
I hate that franchise.
I just want a good Freddy movie, because this Hellraiser showed me that a new Freddy movie would be fucking sick if they got like a good director. So
Yeah, that is true.
But it probably will never happen because Freddy's just like not allowed to have a movie, I guess. So, um,
Yeah, now he's done.
I guess he just has no merit or value. So,
No, sir.
but Black Christmas 2. Let's go.
I am hyped for Black Christmas too. Not really.
There was a fan film recently that got a lot of buzz. It's apparently like really good. And there are people like, oh my god, it's better than the remakes. I was like, yeah, I think like a steaming pile of shit, like fucking like, just like fall out over my face would be better than either of those movies.
A little pile of rotten garbage that's built up for 4 months to be better than either of those movies. So
Especially that 2019 one. That movie looked fucking terrible.
it was really bad.
Blumhouse is either like they make like decent horror movies or they make like fucking The Forever Purge and fucking Blood Honey. I'm just they just make like Paranormal Activity 7 or they make like Halloween 2018. It's like, can you just like be fucking consistent for 2 minutes?
No,
Like, oh, you can have the black phone, but you also have Truth or Dare. So. And like it's weird because they also don't own Halloween, but like their new intro they have like Michael Myers. Like I feel like that's like maybe not legal.
Probably not. But they did it anyway.
Let's fucking go, bro. What's next on your horror, like Halloween watch along?
Candyman.
Candyman?
Yeah.
Which one? There's two Candymans.
Someone sent me a link to the page. That's what I got. And then I kept scrolling, so that's on me. Oopsie. Oh, man.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I've got Candyman next.
Which
and
one?
I think... Let's see, I just watched The Fly last night. I love that movie. It's really good.
Yeah.
Have you seen The Fly?
Parts of it? I say that a lot.
It's pretty good. The problem is I didn't pick most of the movies for this marathon, this horror-thon I call it. And like some of the next two were like The Conjuring and Annabelle, and I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Who picked this? Oh. Did you guys like all watch these movies today? Because Jesus Christ, that's a lot of fucking watching that movie.
It was mostly just me. Justin watched some of them with me. Trinity did, but then she had to leave, and then yeah, so.
Sounds chill. But you can probably stop the recording here. Do you have any final thoughts?
Not really. I guess what I'll say is Halloween ends probably a 3. That might change though. Hellraiser 2022 probably a 7. I really enjoy it. The Mario movie trailer happened and it's generated a lot of buzz. And Rick and Morty will be back in like 2 years. So yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I give Hellraiser a 3 out of 5. So, and I'd give Halloween Ends probably like a 1.5 to 2 range. Not entirely sure. I had to sit on it for a little bit. Maybe watch it again at some point, but still very disappointing. So, but yeah, I think that's all we have. Not entirely sure if we'll be recording next Wednesday or not. We'll see what happens. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess we'll have to figure that out. But for now, if you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Comment your thoughts down below. Let us know anything that we can talk about. The releases are going to be pretty dry going forward, so we'll have to figure that out. And yeah, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, no problem, man. I always like listening to your voice.
You're welcome.
Dude, you're so gay.
Nice.
Which is okay.